Home Depot just gave us a snapshot of what it looks like when renovation boom cools but doesn't quite last. Gas prices, elevated interest rates, and a sluggish housing market has been weighing on the big ticket renovation projects that usually drive Home Depot's growth. These are the kitchen overhauls, bathroom cut jobs, and whole house remodels that fit carts with cabinets, floorings, and appliances. And yet, its latest earnings, the company still managed to grow sales by about 5%, edging past Wall Street's expectations on both revenue and profit. Welcome to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host, Sachin. What does a good quarter look like when your customers are exceedingly nervous? As you listen, keep this in the back of your mind. If Home Depot can beat estimates while saying it's basically stuck in a flat cycle, what does that tell us about how far customers are willing to go and where they're quietly pulling back? Let's start with the headline results. Home Depot reported sales roughly up 5% year over year, earnings that came in slightly above analyst forecasts. Revenues that also beat consistent estimates, but not by a broad margin. 5% bump is an important context. The traditional engine of growth is sluggish, such as big renovation projects. Overall environment feels extremely cautious, and consumers are more price sensitive, and financing large projects is much more expensive. Yet, steady demands for smaller projects keep top line inching forward. It's the picture of resilience, with very little slack in the system. Are we done with big projects or are we just hitting pause? Which leads to us big second question. Are homeowners fundamentally shifting away from major remodels? Or are they waiting for interest rates, gas prices, and maybe home prices to move to what they were before they commit? Home Depot's finance chief, Richard McPhail, laid out some of the pressures that are dragging these larger projects down. For example, three big ones. Number one, high gas prices. When you fill your tank, it hits both contractors and homeowners. For homeowners, it feels like a squeeze in their day to day budget, making them think twice about adding a big renovation bill on top. 2. Rising interests. Many people, large remodels are financed via cash out refinancing on installment plans that is tied to those higher borrowing costs. When the rates are high, the monthly payments on a $50,000 kitchen look a lot scarier than what they did a few years ago. Slow housing market. Few people are moving and fewer homes are changing hands. Traditionally, Home Depot benefits when people buy a house and immediately spend on move-in renovations. When transaction volumes are down, the churn demand is muted. Simply put, the three classic triggers for long-term projects: cheap money, rising home equity, and fresh move-ins are all weaker than they were usually. McPhail summed up on consumers' attitude with a line that's both obvious and revealing. Shoppers are still willing to spend, but only up to a certain point. That certain point is simply lower than where every other line on household budget feels tight. Power small projects. So, how did Home Depot still manage to eke out a 5% growth and beat expectations? The answer? Small projects. Paint refreshes instead of new sidings, faucet and fixture swaps instead of full bathroom remodels, and do-it-yourself shelving, storage, and landscaping instead of big major additions. These kind of projects are affordable enough to fit into monthly budgets, even when the cash feels tight. And they let homeowners feel like they're improving their space without taking on debt. And most importantly, keeps traffic flowing through stores even when carts aren't overloaded with high ticket items. From a business practice, lots of smaller tickets can add up and they can support small different sales across categories like paint, tools, garden, and decor. They keep Home Depot relevant to both DIYers and small pros are picking up incremental jobs. But that's a trade off. The margin in absolute dollars on full kitchen remodel are hard to replace with a bunch of $200 projects. There's more work to drive growth when you're relying on frequency and breadth instead of big bursts of demand. It's more work to drive growth when you're relying on frequency instead of breadth or big bursts of demands. Can a giant build for big jobs thrive on small wins? Which brings us to the third question. Can a company engineered around large scale projects like pro accounts and bulk orders successfully pivot, at least for a while, to a world where typical customers are just repainting a room or freshening up patio? Home Depot isn't just for macro environment, but to improve, it's time to shift its mix of customers. Richard McPhail recently pointed to recent acquisitions and aimed at boosting sales to professional shops, contractors, roofers, and other salespeople. Why this matters is they spend more per visit and buy more consistently. Their work is often less discretionary, and roof leaks, HVAC system fails, and code requirements change day to day. They also often buy on behalf of the clients, which can buffer them from day to day customer sentiment. By acquiring businesses that specialize in building materials, roofing supplies, and trade specific tools, Home Depot is trying to deepen relationship with existing pros, making it truly one-way stop. Growing that sentiment can help smooth out their current customer cycle. What this means for the broader economy and you. Zoom out, and Home Depot's economy is kind of micro signal of the broader consumer economy. People are not just shutting their wallet out, but they're spending it on their homes. Yep. But they're being much more selective about big commitments. Anything that smells like new debt or a major disruption gets much more scrutiny. For homeowners, this moment may look like picking out the dream kitchen, finally repainting cabinets, or living with an old bathroom tile for another year, replacing a leaky toilet and adding smarter storage. Whatever it may be, this differentiates from homeowner to homeowner, and it's up for them to decide on Home Depot to supply. So, the next time you're walking through a home improvement store, debating whether to grab a cart full of lumber or just a gallon of paint and a new faucet, it might be worth asking which version for you, the cautious fixer, the project dreamer, companies like Home Depot quietly count on right now. Thank you for listening to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host, Shank, and I'll see you next time. As always, stay informed and stay ahead, and thank you for listening.